Yeah, son. All the way. On the year. Peace, perfect peace.
Fellow Ghanaians, earlier this week, the Progressive People's Party did something historic, something unprecedented in Ghanaian politics. The PPP set the bar, the political bar, high, but high to the level that it needs to go. We have asked the other political parties, particularly the NDC and the MPP, who have been in office in this Fourth Republic and headed the administration of this country for the past 20 years or so, to commit themselves to fundamental change, change that will mean significant transformation, not just of the political playing field, but of the fortunes of this country. We have asked them to commit to returning power to the people by allowing Ghanaians to vote for their district, municipal, and metropolitan chief executives without any interference from the president of the land. We have asked them to commit to bringing on an independent prosecutor, separating the office of the district attorney from that of the Ministry of Justice, so that partisan politics would no longer play a role in the decision of who gets prosecuted for crimes committed against the state and the people of the Republic of Ghana. We have asked the political parties to commit to making known to the public the sources of the funding for their political campaigns. I have also made a commitment and as a result thrown a challenge to the other presidential candidates, particularly John Mahama and Nana Akufo-Addo, to do as I have pledged to do: make public my income tax returns, make public the asset declarations that I have made as a member of parliament and as a minister of state, which they have also made in the past as members of parliament and as ministers of state, that we should make them public. Let the people know whether we filed our assets declarations or not, whether we pay tax or not, and then let the public judge whether our standards of living, whether our lifestyles are consistent with the assets that we had declared. We have done so believing that as people who aim to lead this nation, we should begin in leading the fight against corruption by making a start with us. That if we can stand as incorruptible leaders, if we can show by our example that we're prepared to be transparent, to be held accountable for our actions, if we're able to do that, then we will have the moral and the legal right to ask our followers and the rest of the nation to do the same. I'd like to bring to your attention statements made by those two other presidential candidates, John Mahama and Nana Akufo-Addo. Statements which I consider to be unfortunate, to be in the wrong direction, statements that you should examine, statements that you should compare with the commitments that I, Paa Kwesi Nduom, I have made, and then decide which one of us should be voted for come December 7th to occupy the high office of President of the Republic of Ghana. First, President John Mahama, in his reaction to criticism coming from many quarters about his, as he puts it, thank you tour of the country. Now, the Progressive People's Party, the PPP, and others have said that this thank you tour is something masquerading, something that is being put on us, unfortunately, as thanking Ghanaians for honoring the memory of our late President, John Evans Atta Mills. But a tour that is really a political campaign tour. A political campaign tour. What has President Mahama said? He is telling us that you don't thank the people by using a mobile phone. You don't thank the people by standing in Accra, and that you have to go to the people. Well, what did President Mahama do recently? He held and made an address to the nation, which was broadcast freely on national television, on radio, at a cost to the nation. During that broadcast, he thanked all of us as individuals, political parties, religious leaders, and so on and so forth, for the participation, for honoring the memory, for being a part of the burial and the funeral rites of the late president. He thanked us. We heard it. We saw him. One would have thought that that would be enough. But it appears that the NDC and President Mahama want to capitalize on the unfortunate passing of our late president. But it's much more also than that. You see, when we talk about corruption, we ought to understand that there's something called state-sponsored corruption. And this is where it begins. This is also where the cheating begins when we're getting close to elections. Because President Mahama is not traveling around the country in his own personal vehicle. He's not paying for the fuel that is being used, not just by himself, but by ministers of state, regional ministers, district, metropolitan, municipal chief executives, government functionaries of all types. Where is the money coming from that is busing people and sending people all over the place? We are asking President Mahama to make a break from the past, from the practice of governments in power, political parties in power, using state resources to conduct and fund their private political campaigns. If he did not know that this national thank you tour is really a political campaign tour, then we are telling him, those of us in opposition are telling him, that is indeed what he's doing. So let him bring it to a halt. And from here on, let him separate his activities as President of the Republic from those activities that he will engage in as the presidential candidate of the NDC. And then to Nana Akufo-Addo, in his response to a question on whether he will declare his assets and make his asset declarations known to the public, he said that this was a legal matter and that it would be up to Parliament to make a decision, a determination, and make a ruling and pass a law to require everybody to make their assets declarations public. That is definitely not a mark of an incorruptible leader. You don't wait for a law. You don't wait to be forced. You don't wait for someone to say, this is a must. You show, not just by your character, the content, and whatever else, but you demonstrate by your actions willingly that you want to set the bar high. You want to go over and beyond the minimum requirement. The minimum requirement here, Nana Akufo-Addo, is what I, Paa Kwesi Nduom, has put on the table. You and I were required to file our asset declarations at the Office of the Auditor General. They have been kept on the lock and key. What I have said, the challenge I'm putting to you and I have put to you, is that let's go and get those documents and make them public voluntarily as a demonstration of our personal commitment to incorruptible leadership. That is what is on the table. It has nothing to do with a legal or constitutional requirement. So I'm asking and I'm waiting. Nana Akufo-Addo, will you do it or not? Just as you have told the nation that you are not corrupt, that you agree to the principle of incorruptible leadership. Show by your actions. Agree with me. And then let's ask President Mahama to also agree with us so that all three of us will demonstrate by our actions, practical actions, that we will be transparent, that we can be held accountable, that we will let the Ghanaian public know what our asset declarations have been and what our income tax returns have been over these years that we have been working in Ghana. I'm saying once again, character matters. Family life matters. Attitude matters. Indeed, everything that's about us, everything that we do, it matters. And corruption is the truth that we need to make wide open, want to put it on the table, and we want to vigorously, actively, collectively work on it so we can have the resources that we need for this nation to become great and strong with prosperous people. Thank you very much. And God bless our homeland, Ghana.
Ghana sasi nyamongenyi. Paa Kwesi Nduom